Hi, welcome to the webinar on NLP for sales training. It's kind of a casual, laid-back one. I was asked to do this by several people. And as you all know, it's one of my passions. I love NLP and I love training people in the art and science of NLP, especially for specific situations, especially things like sales, motivation, overcoming addictions, things like that. So with this, I'm always excited about having fun and doing this. So let's talk real quick about NLP for sales. First of all, why is an NLP used for sales? Well, one thing is the assumption that people tried it. Maybe they read a book years ago. Well, I can tell you this, reading a book on NLP is kind of confusing, doesn't work too well. And maybe they know some of the words of NLP. You know, they might have heard Tony Robbins once, and he's brilliant. I love watching him. He's a nice guy. I've talked to him. But unless you know what he's doing and how he's doing it, it doesn't seem to work. Also, a lot of people seem very arrogant when it comes to NLP and hypnosis. They act like they know it when they don't know it, so they're wrong. And another reason why it's not used, again, that they might have had training, but they didn't practice it. You know, one of the bad things, people go to a training or they read a book or a seminar, and then boom, they never practice it, and then they blame the trainer. Also, who trained them? Because there's a lot of incompetent trainers out there, and they're wrong. There's a lot of people that'll mix a little bit of this and a little bit of that, maybe put it under the umbrella of neurolinguistics, but it just doesn't work. So you need to do something different. And the rules for any training for business, to me, it has to be fun, fast, and dazzle them at the end. And what I mean by dazzle them at the end is give them something they can really use. Right? It's not theory. It's not this. One of my friends does a lot of high-end marketing development, but one of the problems is it's good in theory, but I'm always going, how can I use this to close a deal, to help a client, stop smoking, drinking, in the personal development or whatever it is that I happen to be doing. So what is an NLP? Well, it's a model of excellence to improve your overall results. Neuro, because it uses the neurology. It's actually the neurology of your brain. And I'm going to give you a free gift that wasn't mentioned before we're done today, a technique that you can start using right now that'll change how you do business. So it's the neurology, it's the linguistics. Humans are affected by language because language affects the neurology of the brain. I say that to some people, and they go, well, they want to argue that. Well, if you've ever heard a speech that gets you moved, that's affecting your neurology and it's affecting your physiology. If you hear a song and it gets you up or down, that's affecting your physiology. And again, it's programming because people act as a system. That you have programs that you're running without thinking about it. When you get in your car, you don't think about key in there, do this, do that, push the button, whatever it is that you happen to be doing. You just do things automatically. This is good. It frees you up to do many different things. But unfortunately, it can haunt you in the fact that, that it can get you in ineffective programs that's not working anymore. Many of us are still running an old Windows program that's way outdated. So basically, I do a 5-step sales process using NLP. And it's about becoming a sales champion. First of all, you have to establish rapport. Everything is rapport. If you've got rapport, you can get better action with people, right? And rapport stands for really all people prefer others resembling them. You like people who are like you. End of story. But with what we know about how your neurology works, there's a lot of really interesting things we can do. The next thing you have to do is ask the proper questions. Because by asking if you ask better questions, you'll get better results, as my friend Tony Robbins says. You need to ask better questions, right? And then it fills a need. You can find a need by asking the question. Maybe your product or service isn't the best to fit the need of the client. Okay, great. But what need do they really have? And then if you can link the need or value of what they want with your product or service, it says close. But to me, there's no fancy close. People always want, double in close or this or that. If you've done all the things, if you've got rapport, you've asked the right questions, you've found the need, you've linked it to your product, there is no need to close. It's a done deal because most people already buy before you get to that point. So there are 5 principles for success. First of all, you have to know your outcome. What do you want? Is it the sale? Is it just information? Is it establishing a need? Then you need to take action. Many people get stuck. They know their outcome, but they don't take action. You have to take massive action to get massive results. If you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. You have to have sensory acuity. In other words, you have to know, is your action working to get you toward your goal, or do you need a different action? Many of us get stuck doing a certain action without expanding out and realizing, this really isn't working. I need to do something different, right? And then you have to have behavioral flexibility, because if what you're doing is not working, do something else. Don't do like the U.S. federal government, which is usually do it harder and throw more money at the problem. Be flexible, do something else, right? And there's a lot of ways to do that, right? You can shift how you're doing it. You can go in a different direction. You can ask different questions, right? And then you have to operate from a physiology of success, of personal and emotional success. If you're, as my friend Tony Robbins talks about, you got to be in a beautiful state to really do anything. And one of the things that happens when people getting into the sales process, they have some mental negativity going on, so they don't have a beautiful state when they're doing the sales process. If you're enjoying the sales process, you're in a great state. You don't have to think about it. You're having fun. You're doing this. Can I help this person? If I can't help this person, maybe I can send them somewhere where they can get help. A lot of us has been in this field a long time, whether it's helping people or sales. No, sometimes sending someone somewhere else because they'll do better there will develop a lifelong relationship with this person and develop a lifelong customer, if you will, right? And so, but if you're in that great state and you're on and you're ready, you can easily begin to move forward in new directions easily. And so really what happens when I study successful salespeople, I study people in marketing in different things, autos, insurance, real estate, computer technology. One was an aviation salesman, a yacht salesman. I talked to many different people who sold many different things. And what I found, there seems to be some beliefs that make the top performers, right? One is that, every prospect has their own model of the world. And you got to know what your prospect's model is. In other words, how do they see the world? And this goes back to rapport and a few other things we'll get to, right? So if you know that and you can respect that, in other words, you don't try to make your model, your client fit your model of the world. If you're a stockbroker and you're only driven by money, the bottom line, but your prospect's model is driven by being ecologically friendly and investing their money in projects that will, help the world, there's going to be a mismatch there. You can respect that, right? And point out that, by the way, if we do these products, which are ecologically friendly and help you save the world, you're going to get a better return, so you'll have more money to save the world. So that you have to respect it and not ridicule it or change it. And again, you have to know that the meaning of the communication, the response that you get. In other words, if you're not getting the response, you need to do something different. And again, this goes back to Milton Erickson with there's no failure, only feedback, right? And a no today doesn't mean it's a no tomorrow, right? If we're in the sales world, it's feedback. Maybe I didn't do the rapport. Maybe I didn't find the right need. Maybe my product or service is not the best thing for this person, right? Resistance in a client is usually a lack of rapport, right? And I like to say there's no resistant clients, only ineffective communicators. So if you take that model, that'll make you much better, because the game of sales is the art of getting other people to do what you want, but have them think it was their idea. When they decide to buy the gold package instead of the silver package, when they decide that they need these upgrades, when they do that, even though you've walked them through the process, so that's what they're going to do. If they think it's their idea, boom, you've got it, right? So let's real quick talk about the mind, because this is how it really works. The conscious mind, they say it's only 10%. It's a loose figure. But consciously, you only do a few things. It's analytical and it's rational, which means it analyzes data. Now, when it says rational, I do not mean human beings are rational. We are not rational at all. It means that we rationalize our behavior to ourselves and to the outside world, because you have to make sense of your behavior or you become psychotic. So you'll I had to do this because they do that. I yelled at them because they yelled at me. It's rationalized. Is it right or wrong? Doesn't matter. It makes sense, right? It's also somewhat logical. Your conscious mind wants to find logic. But the interesting paradox is, at the subconscious level, there's no logic. There's absolutely no logic. People are not logical. but we like to think we're logical. Also, with the conscious mind is your short-term memory. Great. And it's where your willpower is. So, but we like to think this, but we can only consciously do things for very short periods of time. How long can you concentrate on a task without some external stimulation? And reading a book or watching a movie, there's something coming in. If you're just sitting there thinking about a problem, how long can you focus on it? Most people, not that long, right? A few minutes, because you'll get a random thought. What's for dinner? What's my kids doing? Things like that. Now the subconscious mind is where the power is. If we use the iceberg model, it's the stuff all underneath it. It's where our habits and beliefs are, right? It's where our long-term memory is. And the important thing is, it's where our values and emotions lie. Have you ever watched a really sappy movie and hate yourself, if you will, but you start crying? Why? It tagged an emotion, right? When you hear an emotional story, you start welling up, right? Because these are subconscious. And if you can tag into those, then the people will jump up to their conscious mind and logically link it with whatever you want them to, right? That's what we do all the time. But if you do this in a sales process, it's very powerful because you're linking your prospects or your clients, or I always say targets, values and emotions into what you want. It's much more likely they'll take action. But what happens, your conscious mind, between your subconscious and conscious, you got this thing we call it the critical factor, and it will reject ideas that seem counterintuitive. But if you're working at the subconscious level, there's no resistance. What you're suggesting will slide right in. And actually what begins to happen is the change happens at the subconscious level this way and comes up. So it becomes their idea. So really it's all about rapport. Again, rapport stands for really all people prefer others resembling them. We are like people who are like us, right? And so there's some things to think about when you're talking to somebody, and you have to pay attention to the person that you're talking to. And we call that sensory acuity. The skin color, the breathing, if you really get into it, people would say things like lip size, do they dilate? Really, if you just pay attention to the person you're talking to, you'll begin to focus on things, right? Because it's pretty easy to see the difference, like in these two pictures, right? It's basically taken at the same event, but it was two different stimuli, if you will. One shows interest and one shows like, what? WTF or something, right? So, but you can see it, the way the lips are pursed, the way the eyes are more focused as opposed to softer, things like that, right? And you can even see a little bit of color change given the picture and everything. Well, you can see one seems more interested, like what's going on, and the other's like, if not a little bit taken back. Maybe something was said. Maybe she saw somebody else in the same dress. So if you compare these two, there's a difference, right? Because when you get into rapport, in physical rapport, there's proximity, there's gestures, there's things like that. There's the facial expression. The most universal thing is a smile and what they call the eyebrow flash. When you see someone you like, you will flash your eyebrows, right? So if you combine it with a smile, it's very comforting to people, right? It's what we do to our tribe members or our pack members, right? But anyway, what they say in rapport, if you mirror and match somebody, what happens, you have mirror neurons. And what your mirror neurons are doing is they're making sense of the outside world. So if we were sitting live and I was talking to you and you were sitting like I'm sitting, if you assume the same physiology, what happens, you present a mirror image to my brain of me, so my brain searches for a place to put you, and I begin to think at the subconscious level, pre-conscious, that, oh, you're like me, I'm like you, therefore, I'm going to put you in a comfortable place, in a safe place. I can trust you because you're acting like I'm acting. You're breathing at the same pace, right? That's the physical thing. And then we can add the vocal thing of how your voice, your tone, your tempo, how you're speaking. And again, what we call predicates, I'm not going to go into a lot of this. Are you visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? I'm a visual kinesthetic person. If you talk to me about what I'll see and what I'll feel, you got my attention, right? If you just use a lot of words, I lose track, right? But I'm moved by my feelings and what I see, and they kind of go back and forth. And then we have kind of a hidden thing a lot of people don't know how to use, is what they call keywords. If I know what your keywords are, if I know what your value words are, they actually light up your neurology, and I can get you to do anything. Good example right now in the United States is we're going into the election season, and you see politicians use keywords depending on which party you're talking to, but they'll use patriotic because that's a word that lights up people. Even though if you had 5 people in the room and you start talking about being patriotic and patriotism, you'll get their attention. They'll link with you, even though their ideas may be diametrically opposed. One guy means you follow what the government says, you trust them, you do what you're told. One of the other people might be saying, yeah, I'm a true patriot, where I believe the government should be overthrown every 20 years, right? They're both patriots, they're thinking about it differently. So all these things begin to happen at different levels, and when you have them all, you're working at a different level. Because again, people like people who are like them. And they used to say that, like only 7% of your communication is words. The guy that actually did that study rescinded it right after it came out because it was taken out of context. What he actually says, your words are about 50% of your communication, right? If you're in your physiology, if you're with the person physically, because what if you're doing phone sales or remote sales? It's going to be much different. But if the words are very important, right? If they weren't, why would a speech move us so? Why would it, John F. Kennedy saying, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, was powerful. It gets people to take action. Very hypnotic language, right? He could have said, quit whining, just do help the government, pay your taxes. It's, not as powerful. When Martin Luther King gave the I Have a Dream speech, the words are powerful. His tonality is powerful, right? His physiology went along with it. But when people act like, it's words are a minor bit, no, especially if you understand how to structure your sentence so you're bypassing the critical factors of mind. And again, when you listen to a good speaker, and put politics aside, but if you listen to a JFK, Ronald Reagan, FDR, Martin Luther King, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, their speech patterns are wonderful. How they use words, and it's very powerful, right? So what you want to do is mirror and match people. That's the first level of rapport. Their breathing rate and their speech pattern, right? Voice pattern, their tone, their tempo, their timbre, their volume. If you go to New York and you talk very quiet, and you talk very slow, I don't think you're going to have a lot of rapport with New Yorkers who speak very fast, very loud, very in your face, right? So if you mirror match this and you do the physiology, right? If you were talking to me and you're using your hands all over, it's going to make me feel comfortable. When I get excited, I speak fast because I'm processing pictures when I'm excited. When I'm more calm, I'm processing feelings, I slow down, right? So if you do this, you begin to match it. And then if you match the words, if you're visual, if you point out what people will see, look, what will appear to them, that lights up their neurology. They don't have to think about it. If they're auditory, they want to hear it. They want to listen to it. They want to harmonize with you. They'll want to talk about it and talk about it some more. Kinesthetic people want to get a touch or a feel of it, to get a hold of it, right? And unspecified words are sense, experience, understand, think. They're open-ended. I could say, think about this. You could be making a picture. You could be making a sound. It doesn't matter. You're both thinking about it. And then what you have to do is ask the right questions, right? If you begin to ask the right questions, it takes people in a certain direction. If you're a salesperson and whatever the person's looking for, if you ask them what purpose are they looking for a better thing that they're doing, what do you want in it? You begin to hear the words because you'll hear, is it what they're looking for? Is it what they'll hear, what they'll feel? And when you ask them what they want in it, then again, you'll get picture, sounds, feelings. It becomes very, very simple, right? And, and what will getting this allow you to do? These questions start people on a trajectory. But the most important question is what's important to you about whatever it is that they want. A better computer program, a new car. What's important to you in that Ferrari, in that Porsche? They wanted to buy that. Well, is it how they feel? Is it driving the sports car? Is it how they'll feel? Is it how other people will see them? Do they want people to be jealous of them or think they're really cool because they're doing, it doesn't matter. This begins to give you their values. And I can take that and link it to the car or whatever else I want them to buy. You know, if I just did this with someone and they were driving a Hummer and I said, oh, it's interesting. You know, it was all fixed up. They quit making them a few years ago, but this was really nice. And I said, well, what's important to you about it? Oh, first they did the logical. It's 4-wheel drive and this and this. And I go, well, we live in Florida. I don't think you're going to get caught in a snowstorm. Do you go 4-wheeling? Not really. But we talked for a moment. He goes, well, really? It makes me feel safe. Great. So now I know one of his drivers is to feel safe. And we started talking about something else. And I said, well, you know, and then I was talking about a project. I said, well, what this will really give you is a feeling of safety and security because you know it's the right thing to do. And isn't feeling safe important to you? Right? Well, he just told me it was. That's why he drives this big gas guzzling, you know, Hummer. And, you know, and it's different. You know, it's why, and he also said he liked to drive a car that was different. So I just used his words to link them to the project I was talking about. Now, what's the purpose of asking questions? It's to establish a need, right? If you're asking questions about what they want, you begin to develop the need. If you ask them what it'll do for you, you get their values. And if you put those two together, boom, you've got them. Because remember, 75–80% of the people have already bought the item in their mind somewhere. Maybe not from you yet, or the service, but they've already bought it before they start even looking for it, right? I always like to say that sometimes it's important to establish a pain point for opportunity, you know, because if a person's in pain, they're much more likely to take action, right? And if you can increase the pain, you can maximize the problem. Because one of the things that happens, sounds kind of weird when I say it this way, but people minimize a problem once they start talking to other people. Oh, it's not that bad. I can drive this car another year. I can do this. This program will work for a while. I need to do a different one. No, you need to basically, set your client on fire, as I like to say. You know, it's easier to sell them a fire extinguisher if they're on fire, right? Then if you got that and you link the product to your service, to your product, your service, they've already bought it. Yet now the obvious choice will be you. So what you want to do again is establish rapport, ask the right questions, find a need, link the value to your product or service, and then let them buy. I don't like doing fancy closes. I think they're counterproductive. The research says they're counterproductive. People want to buy. Let them buy. If you do the first 4 steps, they're going to buy. If you shut up and let them buy, right? So I offer a course. This is why I'm here. NLPforsales.com, right? Now, without this course, of course, you have less sales, less profit, more unhappy customers. Without it, your staff won't make money, and you have less turnover, right? With it, you'll have more sales, more profit, happier customers, happier staff, less turnover. You know, and always remember, you can't afford to buy cheap, because when you buy cheap, you get cheap results because there's really no value. If someone that really not trained in this tries to teach it, they don't have the experience of doing it. And I always like to say, you step over dollars to save a dime. As one of my friends says, you know, he was taught young, you can't afford to buy cheap if it's something you really want to use, right? And also when you buy value, you get better results, a better outcome, and happier people, right? And again, you put these two together, it's easier to do. And so I have a process. It's going to be a 4-module sales course. The first one, of course, is the selling mindset, a percentage step. How you change your mindset to become an elite salesperson. I teach the NLP sales model in much more detail. I just kind of flew through it here to give you an overview. I teach some advanced secrets, and I begin to show you how to put it into action. And I said I'd give you a bonus. This is it. I call it the Bill Clinton technique. Bill Clinton was a master at getting people to take action. And what he would do is he would link high charged value words with himself, right? So he'd be talking to people, and whenever they said something good, he'd say, that's right. I can appreciate that, right? That's good. interesting. Whatever it was, and he linked it to himself. He was given a speech once. I think it was the inaugural address the second time. And he talked about all the good things in America. But every time he said this, he went, good things are happening in America. You know, and he would mention, like, and if you imagine I had a tie on, he'd be touching his tie. You know, we have low unemployment. We have peace. We have prosperity. Good things are happening in America right now. We're the envy of the world. And anything good he brought to himself, right? And just, if you do that, so if you're talking to a client, and we talked about magic words, and they say what they want, oh, they value safety and security. That's right. And if you link it to yourself, you become the conduit for what that person wants, right? It's taking, because they're experiencing something physically and emotionally when they're talking about what they want in this product, in this service. And if you agree with it and bring it to yourself, then when you go, and I'm sure we could find the right choice for you today, right? So if you think about like increasing your sales, you know, what's important to you about that, you know, not just making more sales, but making better sales, you know, selling more product to the same, to people and making happier customers. I can appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure I know where you can find that kind of solution right now. Now I'm doing it now. I just showed you what I was going to do. So it looks a little artificial, but trust me, if it's done in a live setting, works like gangbusters. And you can even do it over the phone, where I'm going to put a special section in there on doing phone sales because you don't have the person right in front of you. So again, you know, I would rank these little modules at like $300. They're about an hour each. I may do shorter ones. I'm not quite sure yet. I currently have up on the site NLP for Sales. It was geared for hypnotists to try to sell more because some of them had problems selling stuff. I'm going to take those down and replace it with the newer model and help them grow. So, you know, it's about a $2,400 value if you just did this. But I do it because it's technologically easier. I don't have to fly anywhere. I don't have to do anything. It's a $497 fee for the course. But of course, if you really find the value, it'll be easy to do. And, you know, it's 20% of what it's worth. And if for any reason in the next 30 days you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. Of course, the catch is you'll lose access to the training in the community because it's a membership site, right? And it's NLP to www.nlp4sales.com. You see the sales seat, you see at the bottom, it says members login, and you can log in. And currently there's old videos up there that I'll be replacing them with the new videos over the next week to 10 days. So the course, and it has 24/7 access where you can access it, review it as you need, go back and do some other things. And I'll be teaching some of the advanced stuff as a bonus. So go to www.nlp4sales.com to save your spot. You can click the PayPal button and it'll take you to the thing to thing. It should give you the feedback loop to sign in right away. If not, email me right away at drwillhorton@gmail.com and I'll get you into the thing, and I'll put the first module up this week, the redone module, and new stuff because there's new information coming out all the time. And you can set the training up to increase your bottom line. So hurry up and go ahead and do that now. It's www.nlp4sales.com. And it's the best training available for you because you can do it 24/7 because it's a membership site. It's great for starters, for people just starting out, or as a refresher. And it's the #1 way to speed up sales training. I have a lot of sales trainers that get this course and they kind of tweak it for what they do. And it's a good follow-up for a live sales training. So again, don't sell yourself short because you deserve it. You know, let me help you. So I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your trip on this journey. And I'd like to thank everybody for being on the call. If I can be of any help, give me a call and we can work out something. And I wish you all the best.